Tell us first of all a bit about yourself.
Myself, I started about 30 years ago with the German Shepherd, and the dog was sick, had a dysplasia at the hips, so I had to get rid of it. The vets shot him, I killed him in the shop. So then I went to the shelter, and there I found a first Malinois from 7 months old. The dog was a little bit crazy, so I had to go to training. And then everything started to this one, to this Malinois. Afterwards, after this one, I had another German Shepherd, but the comparison between the two dogs was so big that I decided to take only Miles anymore. So till now, I had about 45 different Malinois.
You've owned over 25
Malinois, and I competed with 5 of them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How long have you been president of NVBK Belgium?
I'm elected now this year.
Oh, so this is your first year?
My first year, because I was already 13 years in the Radcliffe as a treasurer in Ndpk.
Okay.
I'm secretary that I did. And now because our president was too old, on a democratic way, people from our directives proposed me as the new president, so I have accepted it. And that's why.
Okay, and for history, today is October 28th, 2002, since we said that.
29.
29. Today, October 29th, 2002. Now, you're also a judge for NVBK. Now,
Yes.
how long have you been a judge?
I became a judge in '87.
Ooh. So that is almost 20 years.
No,
23?
15 years.
15 years, 15 years, yes, 15 years since you've been.
And I have to say also, sorry,
Of course.
that's why I started in the Dogs Park in '72, and I was first 6 years in Sint-Hubert.
Mhm.
Then I changed through circumstances. I could not live with the way they acting, and through circumstances I arrived in Ndpk, but in April, so I'm still there. I got in April.
Okay.
It was about 7 years, 78, something like that.
Now, NVBK sport, ring sport, is a Belgian sport. But before I ask you some more specific questions about NVBK, just tell us a little bit about Belgium so that, our viewers would understand exactly.
A little bit of
what it is.
Belgium. It's very easy to say. It's very small. It's separated in different regions. We have a Flemish side in the north and a French side in the south. And for the moment, in the Ndpk, there are 5 regions affiliated completely to our federation. For the rest, what I can say about Belgium, it's a very small country.
European country.
European country. We are in the middle a little bit. Brussels is the main city of Europe. For the rest, what can I say about Belgium? Yeah, we love to train dogs. We are very proud to have the breed of the Macala. Sorry, to have this in Belgium. And I think I've said everything about this.
Okay. Now, tell us a bit about dog training organizations in Belgium.
For the moment, there are still only 3 federations left. The biggest one before was Sint-Hubert.
Yes.
Yeah, but through circumstances, there was a small discussion 37 years ago to a championship was going on, and a few judges have making a kind of fight. So it was so big problem that those 2 judges decided to make their own federation. That was the NVBK. So now, 37 years later, we can say that it's the biggest federation that exists because Sint-Hubert was going down with the training because they have the whole time tried to breed only on duty. Then there was another federation, Belgium Kennel Club, is almost down also, and you had another federation that was VOA.
Yes.
It's also not finished.
Okay. So presently then there are 3 federations that exist: the Sint-Hubert, the NVBK, and the Belgian Kennel Club.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, NVBK, you've said, started about 37 years ago,
Yes.
and it was set up mainly as a ring sport for working dogs.
Working dogs, only working
Yeah.
dogs.
In contrast to conformation shows.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what qualities do you look for when you talk about working dogs?
Working dogs, first of all, it's very important, of course, the construction of the dog. Why? If you have to work, or if you have to do certain work, it's very important that the construction is there. But second, you must have the heart and the character. So what we want is still character dogs with a big heart that can do all the work that we want.
Okay. Now, what is the training philosophy of NVBK?
training philosophy of Ndbk? Well, I can say it's, of course, it's in different ways, but the point, in fact, to do is show people that you can train the dog to do the work that they do today. That's why our program is so built that we can prove that always a different way of training, that the dogs can do anything what you want.
So the program is designed to bring out the working qualities
Yes,
of the
to
dog.
make it so close as possible to reality. But no matter that, we keep it as a sport.
Yes. So you you play as a sport, but train for reality.
Yes, because it's automatically, if you train the sport, automatically you do the reality.
Okay. Now, Germain, in talking about the NVBK, I understand that it is much more than just training.
Yes.
What else does it do?
First of all, it's so intensive. Why? Because for the most people in my country, it's a hobby. So you know, like me, if you do a hobby, that means that it's something that you like to do. That's why it's so intense that you train the dogs.
But do you have any other organizational, for example, responsibilities? For example, does NVBK act as a registry also?
Yes, we started Registry, like I told you, 37 years ago when we started our federation separately. We had only the working dogs, and it was not necessary to have a pedigree or something like that. After a couple of years, what we saw that everybody wanted our dogs to breed, to everything, we thought about it to following our dogs, to following our bloodlines. That's why we restarted the registration. So we, in fact, we have restarted from zero. The first year we restarted now maybe 15, 16 years ago. We took all the dogs who were selected for the championships, and we started with them. So we judged them, had a look at the construction, everything, and we started at zero. And now, I have to say, I'm honest with, I think we can speak from about 90% of our registration with will.
Now, how does the NVBK registry differ from other registries? And by registry we mean registering and certification of pedigrees. How does that differ from other dog canine registries that you're familiar with? For example, there are some registries in North America, only quote-unquote purebred dogs are registered.
Yes.
In the NVBK, can non-purebred dogs be registered?
Yes, it can.
How does this happen?
But the problem is, what we want, we want to keep the character there. And we know also, once you start to do pure breed with a certain breed, you go down. And we don't like this. So what we do, the most important thing, like I told you from the beginning, is to have a good working dog. We like the qualities of the dog.
So you register working dogs?
Working dogs.
You just do not register pets or other dogs?
No.
You register only dogs that work?
That's the
Yes.
most point that is necessary for us, because that's what we want.
Yes.
We want to use the qualities of the dog. And that's the only way.
Yes.
That's the only point that we keep in mind.
Now, so it means then that before a dog can be registered in your system, what should the owner do to gain registration with the NVBK?
The registration. First of all, if you want your dog registered, you must make sure that you call a judge to judge your dog. And from there you can start with a complete bloodline if you want to follow your bloodline. No matter what breed you have, we register all the breeds. But I mean, the purpose is, if you want to work with your dog, no matter what breed you have, that you can start there, that we know this dog has this bloodline, because later on, when you breed, we can follow in the bloodlines, and you can find also training techniques back, or mistakes back that they do, and on this way you can work completely in the right way to train your dog.
I see. Okay then. We've asked already about the training philosophy of the NVBK,
Yes.
where the NVBK program is a sport, but as close to reality as possible.
Close to reality as possible.
Now, this makes it different in some respects also than other sports. For example, the same trial never takes place, the same trial is never repeated.
No.
Could you explain how this happens?
Well, you have a list of exercises they have to do. Yeah, but each exercise is always different. So what we have with the trials in the morning, on Sunday, it's mostly on Sunday, it depends on the fantasy of the judges. They have a rule book that
On their imagination, they make it up as they go along.
they have to follow the rules,
Yes.
but they, through their fantasy or their imagination, they can make a program together.
Yes.
And that's what makes so difficult. You can never train ahead with your dog to say, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, because it's always different.
Yeah. So the dog then has to be prepared for surprises. Because the real world is,
yes,
nothing is ever the
he
same.
must also have a dog who can work completely independent, because sometimes he arrives in a situation that he has to fill it up from himself, that there is no support from his handler. So then he has to be independent, that he says, well, he must go through, or no matter what kind of situation it is.
Yes. Okay. Now, I think recently the NVBK Belgium has expanded outwards. And I understand that it is now established in different parts of the world. Could you tell us a little bit more of the outreach program now, the expansion that NVBK has had?
How it happened, I'm going to tell you maybe first how it happened. First of all, more and more people from other countries came to our country to see the program. And the reaction was always the same: wow, it's fantastic, it's handsome, we want to do this also. That's already a couple of years. But more and more, people came, and at the end, there were a few people who asked me if it's possible to do this program also. Yeah, why not? But you know, also like me, if you are from a completely different state, it's not always possible to come over to Belgium to compete. So through the people asking more and more, we started, and I was thinking about it to bring this program over. And that was, everything started a little bit. So for me it's very important, because I know it's a beautiful sport, I know a lot of people like it, so why can you not share something so beautiful with other people who also love to train dogs, who also love their dogs? It must be possible. That's the whole story. That's everything started with.
So you have NVBK now in the Philippines?
No, there is a complete federation in the Philippines. It's called PUDA, and those are also affiliated to the Ndbk. Why? Those people came over here, and now what they do over there, they had their own program. They mixed it up already with a lot of exercises from us. Why? Because it's so close to reality. That's what's happening. In America it's different. There they want to start and take completely the program over. We have also a lot of people from France who want to do the program. Germany. So for the moment we are still busy with contacts for people who want to do it. But don't forget, it's not so easy to bring this in one day over. It's a little bit like in our country, it's like a little culture to train with our dogs. But you cannot bring the culture in 1 to 3 over to another country.
That's right, that's right.
That's what it's all about.
Now we're doing this, interview actually at the end of the first NVBK seminar in North America at Antitled Kennels in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yes.
Now, and also we find that the owner and trainer at Antitled Kennels, Gus Artiles, is the president of NVBK America.
Yes.
Okay, what I'd like you to do for us is just give us an idea of how NVBK America started.
Started really.
Started here in America.
How we gonna start?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we exist.
Of course you exist, that's true. First of all, of course, we cannot do it on the same way like we do it in Belgium. Because first of all the dogs are not here. You need handlers. You need people who wants to do the program also. See how we started. Can you
Yeah, okay. Germain, yes. What I'd like for you to do for us now is to give us an idea of how NVBK America started, how it started in the mind, how it started on the ground. Who did you meet? Who met you? To think that, listen, let us bring this program to America.
So like I said before, people more and more ask to bring this program over, especially through the computer. It was easier to know other people, to meet people from all over the world. And because there was so much people who demanded, I went to America the first time in 1999 and gave a seminar about the NVBK program over there. Lucky enough, there were people interested to do it. They wanted to support it, but unlucky, there was too much politics involved between those people that it fell down.
You mean they had other dog sport interests?
No, the people themselves had a little bit problems with each other to divide the work and things like that.
Yes.
So it fell down.
Okay.
That was the first attempt. The second time I was there, that I wanted to do it, that we wanted to bring the first trial over there was in Pennsylvania. The true circumstances, the big story about 11 September.
Yes.
That fell also, there was a second that fell also in the water. So then, almost a small year later, also through circumstances, I met Mr. Gus Artiles, And I was sitting on the table, he visited Belgium, we were discussing a lot of things, he called me a couple of times, we have met each other in Belgium, and after what I could feel, I thought, this is maybe now the guy who can break through. And now today, we are here. So through Gus Artillis, we were here to give us a seminar. We found out a few people who wants to become a judge. We find a few people who wants to become a decoy for Ndbk. We had a few dogs now who can do it. So I hope the third time is the good time.
Good. Now, in North America already, there are other dog sports. For example, French ring, Schutzhund. Why introduce another sport like NVBK into North America when already there are others that people are familiar with and using?
Yeah. But I think it's with everything the same. First of all, like I told you this before, people want to see this over there. So also I think people want also always something new. Because adults are like little children. When they see something new, they want it also. It's the same thing. So why not, if people love it to see this, why not try to bring it over? It's the same thing. Schutzhund started also here. It came also from Europe. French ring came also from Europe. So why not give the people all the possibilities there are to work with their dogs? Because for everybody it's a hobby.
Now, during a trial, an NVBK trial, in how many different sections would the handler and dog teams have to compete?
Repeat if you want.
During the trial,
Yes.
how many sections, is the trial divided into?
It's in 3 parts.
Yes.
So first of all, we have the obedience. Second part, the jumps.
Yes.
And then third part, the bike work.
Okay. Could you just give us a rundown, just briefly, of the kinds of exercises that
Yes.
take place
So we start-
in the obedience?
We start always with obedience, then you have a heel at leash, a heel without leash, you have 1 minute down, you have a food refusal, you have a retrieve, you have a send away, you have a smell discrimination, and you have positions. That's the obedience.
Yes.
Yeah. All those exercises, you have to go through it, but always in a different way. You have to do them, and always through each other, not like it's marked on the page.
Yeah.
Then you have the jump work. There are 4 jumps. They have to cross a wall, going and back. They have to jump a pit from 3 meters, and that we can make an extension to 4 meters. You have a small pit, that's 120 high and 150, and you have the hedge. It's also a jump, going and back. After that, you have the bike work.
Just before you go into the bite work, I think, for those persons who are not metric, the ditch jump
Yes.
is about 9 to 12 feet. And no, I'm just doing
I'm
the
not
conversion.
familiar-
No,
I'm
I'm
not
just doing the
familiar with feet,
conversion.
So, okay, no
I'm
problem.
doing the conversion for you. And the wall or the palisade jump
Yes.
is
220.
It's a 220. That is about 7 to 9 feet.
I don't know.
That's
up to you.
that it would be. So
Yeah.
the wall, it's a significant. Both jumps are significant.
Yes.
And those are 2 formidable jumps in that
Yes,
exercise.
yes. The hedge
Yes.
and the wall is 2 times going and coming
Come
back.
back. Yes. Okay. That was just for a translation there.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. You can go
So
on.
then we have the bite work.
Yes.
The bite work is divided. We have, in fact, 3 attacks. Well, and the second one, the third one, is the call-off.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a defense of the handler. We have a guarding of the object without muzzle, and we have a guarding from the object with the muzzle. Yeah. Then we have also search and retrieve, search and bark. So that's mean transportation from a guy who's in line, things like that. Then we have the general attitude. And the whole program together is on 400 points.
Okay, good then. Now, I think what is important for me, and maybe I should point out also that I'd like you to explain a little bit more, is that in the obedience section, the protection section in particular, that the environment in which the trial takes place is always changing.
Always.
So, for example, if today you were to hold a trial and the dog heels through a crowd, the next time you may hold a trial and the dog has to heel through 6 people pushing shopping carts.
For example, it can be
And the same with the protection work. So,
everything, yeah.
yes, so the dog has to be trained in a very versatile way because he never knows
what's going to happen.
what's going to happen
Never.
on the trial.
Never.
I think that's a significant difference
Yeah.
with NVBK
Because
and
that's
other,
why I
other
said
dog
also that
sports.
we are so close to reality. In reality, you never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
So you have to be prepared for surprises.
Yes.
That's the same thing in our program. The only thing what we do, because it's a sport, we put it in ring. That's why we call it ring work. And we cannot do this in the streets, but I
Yes.
mean, that's why it's called ring work. But the exercises are so formed that on few trainings, you bring them over to reality.
That's right. Now, I'm going to switch a little bit here,
Doesn't matter.
and
I shall try to follow you.
that's okay. I'm going to ask if can any breed of dog be used, working breed of dog be used to do NVBK?
Yes, we are open for all the breeds. The moment you, no matter what breed you take, the moment you can prove us that you can train a dog and can do the program, it's fine for us.
Okay. Do you think that there is a better dog, a better breed that is? Do you, or let me put it differently. Do you have a preference for a breed which does NVBK?
Yes, the Mecla.
Mecla, the Malinois.
And I have nothing against other breeds, but for me, that I know by experience till now, it's the only breeding that can do this program.
Yes.
And it's not because the dog is from Belgium, but I mean, it's the only dog who can do it till now. If tomorrow someone finds another, fine for me, and maybe then I shall take also the other dog.
Yes.
If you can do the same work that
Yes.
I want, that I like,
Yes.
no problem.
Okay. Now, from time to time, you've used the word Mecla
Yes.
to describe the Malinois.
Then I-
For those of us who might not be familiar with the different term, could you just explain for us why you use Mecla to refer to Malinois?
Because Mechelaar, that's the real name. Like, I don't know if I told you this in the beginning, but Belgium is separated in two parts. You have the north, where they speak Flemish, and you have the south, where they speak French. Also, through this, there are a lot of cities who have two names, a Flemish one and a French one. In fact, the city where the Mechelaar is coming from, in Flemish, called Mechelen. But through this, because you have the translators in French also, because we have two languages, Mechelen translated in French is Malines. So from there, Malines, Malinois, Mechelen, Mechelaar. But I stand on this, Mechelen is a Flemish city. So we stand on it that the name stays Flemish Mechelaar.
Mecla. That's very interesting. I think most of the world know the dog as the Malinois,
course.
which is the French-derived name,
Yes,
when the true original name is the Mecla.
Mechelaar, that's the real name.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, now we're at the end of the first NVBK seminar in North America
Yes,
at Von Artelis Kennels, which has just completed.
yeah.
I think there were two significant developments which came out of this seminar.
What I'm happy for.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about those.
Well, like I said, I was in one way surprised. I had to make an agreement with Mr. Artelis to see people who are really interested in what I find it here. So we brought also 4 dogs with me from Belgium to see and to show the program. But I was surprised to find people here who are really interested in it. And I'm very happy to say I find it 3 people who wants to become a judge. I have done a little bit test with those people, and I have to say I was surprised. It was very good and very nice. And I think and I hope with people like this that we have a nice future to bring the program over. Same thing for the decoys. I met a few young guys here from Puerto Rico who love to do it, who are really the heart for it. I saw them busy in the suit. I saw them work with the dogs. And with these guys, for me, I think it's a good start. And I think now, for the third time, we shall succeed, and we must succeed, to bring this program over in America.
Yeah, so at the seminar, we actually found people coming from different parts of the American continent, actually, to do
Yes.
this. We had from Antigua, from Puerto Rico, and also from here in Florida, and from Canada, and from Canada also. From that point of view, it was extremely successful, I think. And I think we discussed that we are thinking of maybe holding a trial sometime next year. But certainly, as far as it goes, we have decoys and judges or persons who have indicated interest and have started their training as NVBK decoys and as NVBK judges. You know, I think that's an extremely, extremely good start.
Yeah,
And
of course, you must also understand, I cannot bring everything over in 3 days. It's not possible. But what I have done now is try to test the people who are interested in it, try to test them a little bit. And I have to say, I'm surprised. Those people who want to do it, they are behind, they have the heart for it. So now I hope, like you said, that when we can form the judges, when we can form a few decoys, that you can start and that you can give a first trial over here. Because to bring the sport over, you must have the possibility to give a trial. And people must know here that there are people from the same country who can be a judge and a decoy, that they can go and compete with the dogs. That's the most important thing.
Is there any possibility of the emerging judges and decoys traveling to Belgium and being trained there also?
Yeah, of course this possibility exists, but you cannot, then you have to come maybe for a few years, because experience, you must have experience, you must have dogs. So in Belgium you can come. There you have all day can you train if you want to. And all day you can have dogs if you want to. But anyway, you need experience, not only for training, because there is a big difference between training and trials.
That's right.
So you must have the possibility to have some experience in training, but also experience in trials.
That's right.
It's close to each other, but anyway, it's different.
Good. Germain,
Yes.
in the protection phase of the NVBK program, what aspects of the dog,
Yes.
for you is most important? What traits of the dog are the most important traits in this aspect in the bite work part of the program?
I can be short in this. What we need in our dogs is good brains,
You must be smart then.
smart, good heart, big heart,
You must be courageous.
courageous, good character, and even that, being social and have a lot of drive to love to work.
Okay.
That's what we need.
All right. Now, does he have to bite well?
We wanted to bite well because he has a big mouth, so you have to fill up this mouth.
So the bite in the protection phase is very important.
It's very, very, very important.
Tell us about the bite.
The bite is very important. Of first place, why? Because you can win a lot of points with the bite of yourself, but also in reality, we try always to have a full bite. Why not? If you see other programs, they bite the suit only. We want dogs our suits are much smaller than other programs.
Your suit,
Harder.
the suit is smaller
Yeah,
and
deeper.
harder.
Harder and smaller. Then we teach the dogs to bite over the arm or over the legs, that they feel that's something inside. Also the decoys then can feel what the dog really wants. And that's a very important part for us.
So when you say that the dog must take a full mouth bite, you're not talking about a full mouth bite on the suit.
No.
You're saying that he
Suit.
must take the member.
Yeah.
He must take the leg or the arm, and the decoy should feel
Yes.
the dog
Yes.
on the bite.
In other words, we use a suit as a protection for the man. And sometimes in other parts of other programs, they use the suit for letting the dog biting.
Now that's it. That's very interesting. So in the program, the suit is to protect the man. It's not something the dog should bite.
No.
The suit is not for the dog to bite. The
No,
suit is to protect the man.
man. And what I have seen through experience in other programs, they use the suit only to let the dog bite. That's what we make different.
Yes, I see what you're saying. So the dog should know in his biting, from the time he enters the program, that he's biting someone
Something
inside,
Something
inside.
harder, and something different than only the suit.
Than only the suit. Now, when he takes a full mouth bite, let us suppose that you were judging an NVBK program,